So this discussion, this live is my thoughts on this Nolan Wells joint, right? So I at the time where it occurred, when it was happening, I was in a retreat, and I wasn't really in a mental space. I really wasn't in a space to comment on it, and I was just simply watching what was occurring, right? Now, when I first heard the case, I thought it was funny. I did think it was funny that there was no investigation. Like, they just found a body drowned, and they just ran quick to call it a suicide, a drowning. And then that they really didn't question the boys, right? I found that odd, right? I just found that odd, and I let it go. Like, okay. But I did find that weird. And then as the case has progressed more and more, and the stories haven't lined up, it's like, okay, this now is warrant for a definitely an investigation. Something is definitely happening here in this case, right? So, but what's happening right now is we're seeing the system at play. This is when we talk about racism, white supremacy, so on and so forth. This is what it is. It is an interlocking system of connected people in places of power denying justice. This is what is happening in this Nolan Wells case, right? And where, it's a great, wonderful thing that we have social media to cover this case, because there's other cases, there's other spaces where people are losing their lives, and they are not getting this social media attention. They are not getting this push for justice that is occurring in this case. They are not having the nuances investigated that's being investigated now. So all of these things, what I'm not liking though is the jump to conclusions. And that's what people want to hear. I understand that people want to hear the accusation. That's not how it goes though. Like, just listen, just wait, let the evidence build. You know what I'm saying? You may have your position, you may have your bias, but you gotta let the evidence build so you can have a clear understanding. Because, man, there's so many people jumping out. There's so many things happening, occurring, jumping out in this situation, that it's like, just reserve your position for more evidence, more clear-cut evidence, right? I remember weeks ago, there was the party video, there was the discussion of the fight. They said Nolan was spitting up blood, so on and so forth. They were really, going in, trying to make it seem as if though they had beat Nolan, and then tossed him aside, to be found at the island, right? But, that was proven to be false, and proven to be something that had occurred, or a party that had occurred weeks earlier. And so there's that, right? But the autopsy, that was like, that really kind of cleared up that something's not right. Something's odd here, right? So the missing organs, that's interesting. The missing organs, and then if that is a routine procedure, then okay, because I don't know the first thing about cutting up a cadaver or whatever is involved in that process. I have absolutely no clue. Much respect. I think it was Willie D, somebody that interviewed a mortician or some sort. I need to go back and really watch that again to kind of get what he said. But the thing that made it clear that something was up was the redness in the back of the neck and the fact that the throat is missing. What? Why is the throat missing? Why is the throat missing? That's crazy. And then that connects to what the people that transported the body said, because they were like, oh, this is disrespectful because he was transported face down. Why was he transported face down? Because they didn't want it to get out that his throat was missing at that time. They didn't want them to question at that time, where is the throat? Which tells me that this was not normal. If they're trying to hide the missing throat piece at that time, that's letting me know that they know that there should have been a throat. Craziness. So then it leads you to conjecture, it leads you to further wonder, did they strangle him? Was there damage to the throat that would indicate some sort of passageway or something? Like, what's going on there? So, and then I guess now we need the investigation. Now we got the phone call about the boat, which is wild in and of itself. Like, he called saying his boat is taking on water, and that was so calm. He was so calm to be like, oh, my boat is sinking in the water, in the ocean. Call the cops, basically. Oh, call the captain and get him out here. Like, is that how it happens when you're in your boat? It's taking on water and it's sinking? Like, is that what's going on? Because that seemed like you should have drowned while you're figuring out what's up. So that, and then there's background noise there's background conversations happening. And in those background conversations, you don't hear people panicking about water coming onto the boat. You don't hear that. Instead, what you hear is some general conversation. Like, nobody is concerned about drowning in the back. That's not the concern. The concern is something else. I need to do my own independent listen to the video. I want to just hear the video without anybody's interpretation, without anybody's commentary, so I can come to my own conclusions on what it is I'm listening to. Do I hear a conversation in the background that warrants investigation? So then I can come to my own conclusions. You know, it is kind of hard in this environment where everybody's jumping to allegations. You kind of just want to hear it out. You don't, but I'm man, shout out to Kaepernick for hiring Crump. Because honestly, this thing is something foul and funny, and it needs to be investigated. So much love. All right, peace.